Hi guys, welcome back to this series on building 7 use cases of machine learning on Android. In the last video, we created a new project and then we added permission to allow the app to access the photos. Now in this video, we will see how we can use that permission to pick the images from the gallery. So let's get started. So just a reminder, in case the user clicks deny by mistake, you can show him one more dialog where you can explain why the permission is required, and then you can send him to this settings page where he can change the permission from denied to allowed. So this part has to be done manually. We cannot show a pop-up once the user has denied the permission. If he has done by mistake, then he will have to go to settings to rectify it. Also, if you are more interested in learning Android with Kotlin, I have a very detailed course on my own YouTube channel. Please do check it out. The link is in the description. So let's get started. Let's return back to our app, and so we have this image helper activity now. Let's go to the layout. Let's play around a little more with the layout. So what we are going to do is we'll add an image view to show the image, and we will also add a button bar at the bottom. So let's choose layout from this palette. Check constraint layout. So we are adding one more constraint layout inside the bigger one. So we will just anchor it to the bottom of the parent, the left and right, and we will add one button inside it first. So let's add one button here. Let's change the ID to button pick image. So this ID is used as a unique identifier to identify the button at runtime. So let's also tag it. So instead of dragging the constraints in the layout, you can also click on plus here, which will automatically create the constraints, and you can just mark it 0, so it will be equal left and right. So layout width and height actually tell us how you want the layout width and height to be. So wrap content means the height or the width will just be greater than the actual content inside the button. If I make it match parent, then it will expand to fill the parent. So let's keep it wrap content for now. And so what we will do is the constraint layout, instead of having some numbers which might go wrong on different devices, we'll change the width to match parent and height to wrap content. So let's just make it 0, and we have the constraint layout. So now the button is constrained to left and right and bottom and top. We can even add the bottom one, which is 0, and you can see the bottom constraint layout is now covering the button, but it's from side to side, so that the button is now horizontally centered. So let's change the text of this button. We will name it pick image, and then we will copy and paste one more button. And if I select the new button, I will change the ID first, because ID has to be unique. This will be start camera refactor, and I will also change the text to start camera. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all the left and right constraints for both the buttons. So Then we are going to select both the buttons by holding down Control and selecting both the buttons this side, and then right click on them and add a chain. So this is a new horizontal chain. We will do create horizontal chain so that these two buttons will be aligned perfectly and leaving some gap on the side. So you can even change the chain property. So currently it is spread. It can be spread inside or it can be packed, which would mean the buttons will be together and there will be gap at the end. So we will just leave it to be spread, which is the default one. And to give the button bar a different view, or to make it look different, we will just add a background color. So let's just add a gray color. Okay, you can just press escape once you have selected the color. So that is it. So we have added two buttons and we have created a bottom button bar. Now let's go back to common. We need an image view. So let's drag and drop that. Did it come? No. Okay, I will have to choose something for the image view to drop. So I want to move it out of this constraint layout. It should be in the parent one and it will be at the top. So likewise, I will add the left and right constraint both to be 0, and I will actually make the width as match parent, and I will add the anchor to the top so that it always remains at top of the screen, and the height I will change to 400 dp, so density independent pixel. So this is our image view, and we will need one more text view here. So this text view will be used to show the output. So let's just add this text view. So to make the text view expand, we will have to do it as so width is match parent, so it will expand to fill the parent, and height, because we have given both the top and bottom anchor, we have to put 0 dp, which is match constraint. So the height will be managed by the constraints that we have given. So bottom is linked to the button bar and top is linked to the image view. So if the screen is becoming smaller or bigger, the text view size will keep changing, and accordingly our UI will still look same. So let's change the default ID. It should be text view output and refactor. Likewise for the image view, this will be image view input refactor, and we will select the text view again and remove the default text which is there. So it should be, yeah, so we'll just remove the text and just put it as output. Okay, if you want, you can even change the text appearance to a little more bigger, so body 1 or maybe display 1 should do fine. Yeah, so this is our screen. This is going to be how the image helper activities will look like. So our image classification, flower identification, object detection and face detection will use the same layout. So our UI part is done. So let's go to the code part. So we have this image helper activity. We have already added the code to ask for permission. For a demo purpose, this code is enough. So Now we are going to link the image view, the text view, and the buttons that we have just created. So if you remember, in the last video we created a public method which the layout was able to pick up and assign to the button on click. So the same we are going to do. We are going to create two public methods, public void on click image, with one parameter, that is the view, and let's import this class. Second will be on start camera. Then we also need to link the image view and text view so that we can show the output and also show the image that the user has picked up. So we'll create two private variables. So the shortcut to import the class is Alt Enter, or you can always right click. So after we have assigned the content view with the layout ID, after that we can ask the Android to give us the instance of the image view and the text view. So how do we do that? So we tell Android to go and find view by a particular ID. So if you remember, we have given unique IDs to our image view and text views. So here in these two statements, we are asking Android to find this particular image view and text view and assign it to those particular variables. So let's go back to the layout and assign the methods for the buttons. So this is pick image, and this is on start camera. So as soon as the user clicks the particular buttons, those methods will get executed. So now we have built our UI, our layout is ready, the buttons are ready, but now we need to actually ask Android to show the user the gallery and ask him to select an image and give it back to us. So how do we do that? So as yesterday when we learned about intent, here also we are going to use the intent class to tell the Android what we want to do. So we'll start a new intent. Now some of the intents are already predefined, like action, get, content. So this is the intent which Android has already defined, which allows the apps to request some other kind of content from other apps. Now these apps could be gallery, could be Google Photos, could be OneDrive, or any other app. So this would be decided by user at the runtime which app he wants to share the photos from. So currently we are only interested in getting images from the user. So we will set the type as images. So how do we do that? We tell Android only to give us files with the metadata which are of type image/star. So star stands for any type of image extension, but the object has to be some type of image. So JPEGs, GIFs, bitmaps, all those images the user can select and give it back to us. So now once we have our intent ready, if you remember, we had to call the start activity, but here we will do something different and call start activity for result. This means that we are expecting a result back from the operation that will happen due to this intent. We will send an intent to Android to tell us we want images, and then the Android will send the URI back to us. URI is just a URL or unique resource identifier, which will tell where exactly this image is in the Android phone. So let us do that. Start activity for result, our intent, and then we will have a request code. So let us create a constant for this request code. So request pick image 1000, and we will just use that. So this code is enough to start the activity to pick the image. So let us see how it works. So if you remember, this is our main activity. We will go to our image helper activity. So this is the default image. And then as soon as I click on pick image, I will be taken, because this is an emulator, we don't have multiple apps, we will be taken to the files app. Now if I go to downloads, I can see there are some images. So if you want to transfer some files to the emulator, you can just drag and drop on top of the emulator and they will end up in downloads. So you can see I selected an image, but it was because we have not written the code, nothing happened. So where will the callback come? So there is a method called on activity result. So this result will come back with the URI that we are looking for. So first we will check whether the result was okay, which means the user actually selected an image, and if the request code is our request pick image. So if the result is okay and the request code is pick image, then we will process this image. Now how to process this image, how to convert from a URI to bitmap. So we'll need to write some code here. So let us just define this method, load from URI. Now here it will actually return the bitmap. So I'll change the type from void to bitmap. So I'll first initialize the bitmap with null so that if we get an exception, we can at least pass the null back. Sometimes user might select some corrupted files and we might not be able to decrypt that. So that is one thing to ensure. If you're going live with this app, you might have to check it. So there are two ways to convert bitmaps. One uses the old way, and with the newer API which was launched with Android version 27, there was a new method. So I'm going to display both of them. I'm going to show you both of them. So because there can be exception, we will first create the catch block. It can be an IO exception, and for now we will just print stack trace. So as I told you, if the build so if the build is greater than 27, which is O, MR1, we are going to use the modern way of converting bitmaps. Otherwise, we are going to use the old way. So first the modern way, which is image decoder dot source. We are going to use the content resolver. So content resolver is you can say it's an service running inside the Android system which converts the URI and to the actual caller application. So which means that if I have given a URI to share a file or a resource from my app, content resolver will resolve that content to my app. So I will know which exact app is sharing this file. So if the file is being shared from the downloads or files app, this content resolver will help me contact that app so that I can get that image file. Because till now I've only got the URI, which is just a string. So we have the source, we have built the source from the content resolver and URI, and then our bitmap. would be to just decode it into a bitmap, which will just take our source as input. So this is a new version. In the else, if the app is running on 27 or below, we will use the old one, which is pretty straightforward. Bitmap is equal to media store.images dot media dot get bitmap and the same parameters. So all the media previously was stored in tables in Android. It is still done. It's not fully deprecated. So what we are doing here is, in the older version of the API, we are just asking the media store table to give us the image which is at this particular row in the media table. So it's the same parameters, content resolver and URI, and we have the bitmap. So as soon as we get a response back from the Android that the user has selected an image, we will be at line number 72. The code execution will come here. So first we will get the URI from the intent. It will be passed as part of this intent which is coming back to us. So we can access it by doing data.getData. So the data is intent, and if you do a get data, we will get the URI back. Now we will create the bitmap object by calling our load from URI method. We will pass the URI, and then once we have the bitmap, we will use our input image view to set the bitmap. So we have not done any processing till here. What we have done is we have handled the permissions. We are able to display the image once the user selects it. So let's run and see. So this is our main activity. Now if I do pick image and I select this images with some faces, you can see the image is now displayed in our app. So in the next video, we will integrate image classification so that we will see how actually MLKit works. After that, we will pick up the camera part. See you there.